Hey, my name is Bep. I've been playing a lot of Gunsmith Simulator recently. I bought it a while ago and reinstall it periodically when I'm between games or just need something more zen to tinker with. I have what I personally call low-level gun autism. This means that while I'm fascinated by guns for a few reasons, I'm blissfully unaware of the myriad of smaller mistakes and concessions that this game makes. For me, it's an experience that always has something new on a fresh install. A revamp or a DLC or a system of mechanics that I have to explore. And I have fun with it for a bit before sending it back to the deep, dark depths of my Steam library. But guns are a complex thing. Some people make them a core pillar of their identity, while some are much more passive in that interaction. In America especially, they can symbolize a wide swath of ideologies, but I'm going to simplify things to my personal theory of firearm fixation. In my opinion, there's 5 reasons people have to own a gun. Hunting, leisure, mechanical fascination, historical relevance, and fear. Hunters are the most legitimate, in my opinion. I like venison. Sorry, Bambi, you're delicious. It's a very practical thing, and while some would likely take issue on animal rights grounds, I think regulated hunting is largely fine. White-tailed deer are functionally invasive, so honestly, fuck them. I don't care. Leisure's more about target shooting. While there's intrinsic motivation to better your aim, speed, a million little bits about the mechanics of shooting a gun, it can also just be a social activity. I have shot skeet and targets with friends and family. There's something that just satisfies my brain about it. Mechanical fascination being a reason is likely flavored by my spicy brain, as I myself am fixated on archaic firing systems. Revolvers, lever actions, weird shit like wheel lock. This doesn't just apply to me. I've listened to other people regale me with the special features of guns of all kinds, but this very much is about technology as opposed to the actual shooting of gun. Historical relevance can cover a lot of firearms. My favorite example of this is the M1 Garand, whose high caliber use in World War II and iconic rank it highly in my mind. To be honest, any gun that killed Nazis gets a higher rating from me, but that's besides the point. It can also be the first of its kind, the first to try a firing method, the first gun of an iconic manufacturer. Many of the artifacts we hold dear were meant to kill people. That just kind of is what it is. And finally, fear. If you own a gun, there's a chance that you reflexively rejected this one. But if you have that gun for self-defense or home defense, congratulations, that's a fear response. If you think small arms fire is going to deeply matter in an invasion or a civil war or an apocalypse, a thing that I wrote before, current time, that's a fear response. I'm not saying it's good or bad on its face, but if your fixation is mainly coming from fear, there's some things you should probably try. Therapy comes to mind as a big one of those. I'm not saying these are clean or pure categories either. It's very rare you're going to find someone who is all of a single thing. They're going to be mixes. They blend these factors to a variable extent. My own spread probably looks like this. You're free to judge me by that if you'd like. I will let you do that of your own accord. There's also this kind of accepted intersection between masculinity and firearms. It's a fixation that is broadly embraced among men, and one people are more likely to let you ramble on about. After all, what real man doesn't like guns? Did you know that in 1877 the Russians got owned so hard by lever-action rifles they invented the Mosin Nagant bolt-action rifle, which were so common at one point I think you could get them in a Happy Meal? It feels a lot like being a fan of 40K, to bring it to a nerd comparison, in the sense that the line between people who are cool about it and people who are deeply uncool is razor thin. It's something that I struggle with, as my own strange brain, general passivity, and queerness affect how I see myself as a man. Do I like guns because I like them, or as a way to connect to a social identity that I otherwise don't embody at all? My politics are a further complication, since most people who trumpet loudly about guns are right-wingers of some distinction. They seek to lay claim to all the classical representations of manhood, to pull those who take interest into their stagnant and regressive quagmire. My personal beliefs swing pretty hard the other direction, And I don't personally believe a stick that throws pebbles really fast is inherently left or right wing. Violence is only done in a context, and that's very important. Socialist gun clubs exist, and obviously a wide swath of left-wing organizations are not opposed to using violence to protect their community or further their goals. Ultimately, I'm not 100% sure how to feel. In America, at least, it's very clear of what the firearm symbolizes divorced from the rest of context. It's classical, conservative, myopic masculinity. I think it's only making dudes more miserable and more lonely. I don't have an answer. I'm some fucking guy. Gunsmith Simulator, for me, a moron, is kind of perfect. I get to do all the manual work involved without having to wipe gun grease off my hands or find a place to store 30 fucking rifles. I don't have to keep up with the relentless changes and twists and turns that most hobby spaces expect you to remain a real fan. I can be the level of casual that I wish to be. I don't have to worry about recalls or ammo shortages or driving out to a range. That is the core appeal of simulators, in my opinion. To power wash a house without ever having to get wet, to run a card shop without having to deal with tedious nerds who want you to be as specific as they are about shit you don't really care that much about. To take only the fantasy and leave the grit and grime of reality behind. To engage with this symbolic manhood without the anxiety that bringing a gun into your house drastically increases your chances of suicide, especially if you're a dude. But this time I didn't really install it for pure reasons. As part of an ongoing project, I'm trying to complete all the games in my Steam library, and this was just on the list. Hunting for achievements in it feels wrong somehow. Like I'm not engaging with the fantasy in a legitimate way, despite the developers putting these in here ostensibly so you can do them. Some of them are annoying, like having to hit 6 bullseyes with a single action revolver. Some are so annoying they loop around to being hilarious, like clearing a CQB course with a fucking flintlock, just like the founding fathers intended. The idea of flintlock SWAT was just a funny concept. I could not stop laughing to myself. But due to the game's kind of slow, deliberate pace, it gave me some time to think about things. Restoring 50 antique parts brings up the same point of all antiques in my mind, that eventually they will be little but unrecognizable nubs. Lumps of wood and steel reduced from graceful killing machines to nothing but chunks of Ozymandias in the sand. Chewing on all this dampened my mood, and I couldn't really put a finger on why. Pulling some of the stranger guns out of my safe, like this absolute abomination, reminded me of what is probably the corest truth, at least for me. Ultimately, the kind of man that I am is determined by me and my willingness to be influenced or to make my own decisions. I am terminally goofy, capable of intense focus, fascinated by exploring systems, given to overwriting, and sometimes I just want to see a gun fly apart and snap back together like murder Legos. Sometimes the game is just a game. Sometimes it isn't. The trick is being comfortable enough with yourself to look inside and figure it out. Does it alter you in some way? Does it change how you feel about the way things are and the way you'd wish them to be? I can't answer that. Ultimately, my exploration with Gunsmith Simulator led me to the conclusion that I like it for the weirdness that you can do, or the simple mundanity of taking a thing apart and fixing it up and putting it back together. Not everything is Nier Automata. Sometimes a game could just be a game. But even that's the sum total of my personal biases and my own assessment, so much like the matrix of how you feel about guns, that'll vary from person to person. It's all up to you. I'll see you when I see you. Later.